Welcome to another session of Business Startup Training, and we're going to be focusing on China and the coronavirus. So by the end of this session, you'll have a better understanding of the impact on world trade and business startup due to the Chinese coronavirus. So we're going to be looking at demand and supply of goods manufactured in China. And what does this mean for business startup? Can this change the balance of power China has compared with Western countries? So these are the three areas we're going to be discussing. Now, first of all, let's have a look at demand and supply. Now, here we have a graph displaying demand and supply. And it's important to note that demand has a negative slope. So it goes from top down, and supply has a positive slope. It goes from bottom up. Here we have the demand curve in blue and the supply curve in red. In between the two curves where it intersects, we call it the equilibrium. So at 10 on the, it's also important to note that on the x-axis is quantity and on the y-axis it's price. So on the y-axis, on the x-axis rather, we have 10 quantity or 10 units, and the price for the 10 units, the market price based on the demand and supply, is 30. We also have the demand and supply in relation to a change in the supply or a shift. So if we have a situation where we have a shift in supply, where supply was once S1 and it's now S2, it means that the price is going to change, which means that we will have a higher price. So in terms of the Chinese situation of this virus, it will cause supply to reduce, which will cause an increase in price with goods coming from China. Now, what does this mean for business startups? We would have a temporary delay of goods. We'll also have a loss of sale income. Okay, we'll have loss of sale income and a temporary delay in goods. And now, if you are using the Amazon platform as a startup, you will suffer delivery delays. So therefore, goods coming from China, you've purchased goods from China, you want to transfer to Amazon and use their platform and sell to customers, you'll have a delay in that. And we'll also have health scare around products coming from China. So if a product's coming from China, you're more likely don't want to touch it because you think, okay, you might get a virus by touching it. And also, if you have business professionals from China, you don't want to interact with them because you're thinking maybe they are coming with a virus. We'll also have in the short run a weakening of the Chinese currency. So that will be good for people buying from China because then you will get more, but then it will be a negative for China because then they will more likely have less profits in terms of the international standard compared with, a few months ago or a few weeks ago. Can this change the balance of power China has compared with Western countries? Now, China is far ahead in terms of manufacturing at a low cost, and so therefore it would be a challenge to unseat them in that regard. China has the system and knowledge in place, so they already have excellent system and they have the knowledge in place. China has a labor cost that is very competitive. They have a huge population, and therefore that goes well for them, so they are able to be very competitive. And China has also diversified its skills. So it's not just in manufacturing, it's also diversified into, financial services. It's also doing constructions. It's doing lots of things. So manufacturing is not, and also because of its large cash, it's investing in all over the world, in developing countries, etc. So it might cause a temporary dip in its GDP and the economics of that, but it's not going to have a long-term impact due to its ability to recover from shocks. And this is not the first virus. They had the bird flu some years ago as well. Now, in conclusion, we've looked at demand and supply of goods manufactured in China, and we've looked at the demand curve and the supply curve. We said that the demand curve is a negative slope, the supply curve is a positive slope, and in the middle is an equilibrium. And if supply reduces, it's likely to have an increase in price. What does this mean for business startup? There will be a delay in goods coming from China. If you are having a startup in manufacturing and your manufacturer is China, in most instances China tends to be the best in terms of price, you're going to have a delay, and therefore that will be impacting your business, sales, forecasts, profits, etc. Will this change the balance of power China has? Temporarily in the short run, it will kind of have an impact, but in the long run, China is so far ahead. It's very, very competitive in price. It has the infrastructure in place, it has the shipping in place, it has all the various things to succeed in this area, and it has a huge population. So in that regard, it will be a temporary drop, but not a significant change in the balance of power from the east, our Asian region, to the west. Thank you. Subscribe and like and share. Thank you.